It's June 7th, 2011. I just wanted to give you an update on the Dicksonia antarctica in our garden. So this is the new flush of fronds that it puts out every spring. Usually about 2 dozen of these fronds emerge from the inner crown of this giant tree fern here. So it's a Tasmanian tree fern is the common name for this plant. It's a sort of a prehistoric species, been around forever. And well, the name is given, Tasmanian tree fern. It is native to Tasmania and some of the sub-Antarctic islands in that region. And zone rating would be probably, hardiness rating would be zone 9. You can see I have it in alcove here on a southwest exposure. It's about 6:15 p.m. in the evening here on Salt Spring Island, and the sun beats in here all day. And it doesn't affect the tree fern at all. You can see how green the new fronds are on this. And the trunk size on this one is about 57 or 58 inches. I planted it in April 1994, and it was quite a bit smaller, so it's grown quite a bit. I water it in the summer months, or in the dry months. I water it daily through the top of the crown where the coziers emerge, and that's the new fronds. And I also fertilize it through the crown. I use fish fertilizer, so it's all organic. And every year I usually end up cutting the fronds off of it, the last year's fronds, because they get beat up in the winter. Like usually the snow, if we get wet heavy snow, it usually bends them out of shape. So, but generally this tree fern stays evergreen here in this area of our garden because it is pretty sheltered. I have other pretty tender palms in here growing too. There's Chamaedorea radicalis and Trachycarpus fortunei, which is fully cold hardy for here. This is your Chinese windmill palm. But these do grow really big trunks on it, but it takes time. So generally 1 inch of growth is 1 year. So this is 58 inches of trunk, 57, 58 inches of trunk. And so this plant is over 50 years old. So really slow growing in the trunk, but fast in the fronds. So, and you know, I've even seen this thing put out a couple of more fronds late summer. And it may do that this summer too if we get a long hot summer. But it's a very exotic looking plant. So basically a palm trunk. It looks like a palm trunk with fern fronds on it. And the fronds on this one will grow 8.5 to 9 foot in length. So a really happy plant. It's growing in the ground and very sheltered. It doesn't get any wind in here, and it does soak up the heat. So it is a myth that all ferns need to be growing in shade, because this one will take lots of sun, especially in coastal areas. Our garden here is about 900 feet from the ocean, but sheltered. We don't get any winds from the ocean because we have the trees, the forest across the street that sort of buffers any winds, but still moderated enough where this thing has survived for many years. There are other ones on Salt Spring Island, and in the wintertime I do like to hang loose burlap from the trunk, and I also stuff burlap in the crown where the fronds emerge, because the most tender part of a tree fern is the inner crown in here where the fronds emerge. And then the fronds are hardy to probably about -6.5, -7 degrees Celsius. So maybe around -7, they're going to start to brown out, which is around 19, maybe 19.5 degrees Fahrenheit. So temperatures below 20 degrees Fahrenheit, these are going to start to go, which is fine. If you got the inner crown protected, you're going to get new coziers emerge every year. And the trunk should be hardy to at least 15 or 16 degrees Fahrenheit. I do like to protect it just by hanging loose burlap on it, because to lose a plant like this, it would be expensive to replace. I had this one given to me years ago. These plants sell for at least $20 a trunk inch. So you can imagine how much this would cost to replace this thing. So anyway, I'll grab the camera and I'll give you a closer look at the Tasmanian tree fern. So this is an update now, and I will show you another video. I'll make another video when the fronds are fully unfurled on this thing, because it is spectacular. And it looks like a completely different plant. There's still a ways to go, and they're late this year too, because it has been a cool spring. So there's the Tasmanian tree fern with the new fronds. They're like giant fiddleheads coming out of it. And we'll look down in the center, and you can see more coming in there, and there, and there's the trunk. So it's a pretty good size trunk on that one. It's a happy plant.